Ryan Poles has completely rebuilt the Chicago Bears wide receiver room. What's up, guys? Swift here. Today I'm discussing the Bears wide receivers, which I believe is the fastest group in the entire NFL. I want to break down the position a little bit, talk about the different styles of receivers I have, where I expect them to play, who is the slot receiver, and how Justin Fields now has the weapons around him to succeed in the passing game. Let's get right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is pure speed. This receiving room is the fastest I've seen on the Bears roster in my lifetime easily. The slowest guy in our entire receiving group right now is Equanimous St. Brown, who ran a 4.4840. That's right, we have 7 receivers on this roster right now, and every single guy runs at least a 4.440. We've never had anything close to a receiving room that fast in my life rooting for the Chicago Bears. Velus Jones Jr., 4.31 seconds. Dante Pettis, 4.32 seconds. Darnell Mooney, 4.38. DJ Moore, 4.42. Chase Claypool, 4.42. Tyler Scot, 4.44, and ESB of 4.48. They are all speed burners. These receivers can flat out fly. On top of this being the fastest receiving group I've ever seen in Chicago, it's also a uniquely versatile room. Every guy brings something different to the game other than just 4.4 speed. DJ Moore is a bona fide #1 target who can line up anywhere on the offense and beat any defensive back. He's a magician as a route runner, and he can win at all 3 levels of the defense. Then you have Chase Claypool, who's a big physical freak of an athlete whose closest athletic comparison in NFL history are DK Metcalf and Calvin Johnson. He brings a freakish blend of size, speed, and playmaking ability. Darnell Mooney is a man-beater. He's impossible to guard 1v1, and he should get way more opportunities this year. He's a smooth route runner and excels at taking the top off of defenses. Velus Jones Jr. brings his insane yak ability to this offense. He's a monster with the ball in his hands, on top of being the fastest receiver on the roster. Tyler Scott brings a lot of what Mooney brings to the table, but he's a fiery, ultra-competitive player who's also a smooth route runner. Dante Pettis offers slot versatility, is a good route runner and punt return option, and then ESB is a bigger-bodied option who's a great run blocker. This brings up my next topic. With the receivers being this talented and diverse, who is the slot receiver on this team? That is a great question, and I think a lot of fans are wrong on this one. I keep hearing people refer to Darnell Mooney as the slot receiver in this offense. I disagree 100%. Mooney is a boundary receiver to me, whose best fit is at the Z. He plays a similar role in this offense that Tyler Lockett brings to the Seattle Seahawks. While I do think he's capable of playing the slot, he's not the receiver I would have in the slot in this offense. My main slot option would be a rotation, mostly between my top 2 receivers. That's DJ Moore and Chase Claypool. In a base set, I think we would line up with DJ Moore out wide as the X receiver, Darnell Mooney on the opposite side of the formation at the Z spot, with Chase Claypool filling in as your power slot option. A bigger, faster, powerful guy in the slot is a new wave that a lot of NFL teams do. On top of that, I believe DJ Moore and Chase Claypool offer a lot of ability to interchange between the 2 positions. Chase Claypool has the size, speed, and physicality to play the X spot at any time. Meanwhile, DJ Moore is awesome in the slot, and he can line up anywhere. So you can swap between the 2 at X and the slot, meaning I believe DJ Moore and Chase Claypool will both get a lot of time in the slot, and then Getsy can also mix in Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan, Tyler Scott, Velus Jones Jr., and even Dante Pettis. That is the biggest point. We now have a plethora of weapons on offense, and it's going to be impossible for any defense to shut them all down. Justin Fields finally has the talent around him at receiver to have success passing the ball. That's without even mentioning the upgrades at tight end, running back, and the offensive line. But I want to go into more detail on all of these wide receivers. DJ Moore is a superstar. and a legit #1 wide receiver in the NFL. Anyone who doesn't think DJ is a top 10 receiver needs to do a little more research. DJ has been insanely productive in Carolina. I'm not talking just wide receiver #1 territory, but best in the entire league type of production without ever having a good quarterback or even any consistency at the position. DJ Moore is 5th all time in the NFL in receiving yards before the age of 26. Let me repeat that. DJ Moore is in the top 5 all time for receiving yards under the age of 26. He just turned 26. The top 5 are Randy Moss, Mike Evans, Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins, and DJ Moore. Top 5 all time. This dude is an absolute stud and an elite receiving option in the NFL. He's as good or better as any receiver we've had on this roster in my lifetime, including Brandon Marshall. DJ Moore can line up anywhere on the field and will draw constant attention from opposing defenses. He instantly upgrades our passing offense and makes it so much more dynamic. And as much as I've talked about this move in the last 2 months, it's still going underrated. The cherry on top of that is that the Packers offered a first-round pick for DJ last year and got turned down. DJ Moore is going to be a monster in Chicago. Then we get to Chase Claypool, another receiver the Packers tried and failed to trade for. The Claypool hate has gone too far. Our fan base can be overly negative anytime a player doesn't produce instant success. It's a results-based industry, and so far Claypool has not produced for Chicago. But he never got a fair shot here. He was learning the playbook mid-season and being eased into the offense. Then he got hurt. Then as he was getting healthy, Justin Fields got hurt. They never had a chance to build chemistry, but this is a guy with game-breaking talent. We saw a small sample size of that versus the New York Jets last year. One of the impacts that Chase had on this offense was the attention he took from defenses. He drew more double teams than anyone on our offense and attracted the team's best cornerbacks. He was covered by Sauce Gardner throughout the Jets game. Sauce only gave up 50 yards in coverage the entire season. He's an elite cover corner. More than half of the yards he gave up on the season came in one play against Chase Claypool when he went up and mossed Sauce. Think about that for a second, and then think about how he has an entire offseason to build chemistry with Justin Fields and learn this offense. On top of that, he will not be getting matched up against #1 corners anymore. At best, he will get a #2 or #3 corner, and there will be times when he has mismatches versus linebackers as well. I'm really high on Chase Claypool entering 2023. I think he sticks around long term. I'm a huge fan. Then we get to Darnell Mooney, who a year ago everyone was asking if he's a #1 wide receiver or not. Now, regardless of how talented he is, he's our #2 or #3 option at best. Mooney will definitely be a huge benefactor of the DJ Moore effect on defenses. Mooney has drawn a lot of #1 corners and double teams over the last 2 years himself, and now he should be getting put in a lot of favorable matchups. Darnell Mooney continues getting better and has an incredible offseason work ethic. He is working back from offseason ankle surgery and expected to be ready to go and healthy by training camp. He's at Hallis Hall working every day, giving us the best 1-2-3 punch at wide receiver we've had in my lifetime. On top of our top 3 starters, though, we also have Velus Jones Jr., who started to come on strong towards the end of the year. He's a monster at picking up yards after the catch, and he has 4.3 speed. He can be a playmaker by utilizing him on manufactured touches and occasionally sending him on deep routes to take the top off of defenses. Even if Velus is just a gadget guy, he has potential to take the ball to the house every single time he touches the ball. I love him as our 4th or 5th receiving option. And then we get to rookie Tyler Scott. This is a kid that I compare to Darnell Mooney a lot. I think he has a little more shiftiness than Mooney does, and he could be a factor in the slot game. He brings even more speed and playmaking ability to this offense. And then ESB and Dante Pettis add depth, but not much else. Overall, though, this receiving room is stacked with talent. On top of that, we now have two threats at tight end as well, with Cole Kmet and Robert Tonyan, and then a three-headed monster at running back. To complement all of this, our offensive line has been upgraded massively. All of this finally puts Justin Fields in a favorable position entering year 3. His first 2 years in the NFL, he was put in awful situations. Ryan Poles was able to address almost every concern on this offense. The one question most fans still have is at the center position, but Cody Whitehair is a solid veteran presence who was a Pro Bowler the last time he played the position, and certainly is a big upgrade over Mustipher. And then we have Lucas Patrick as a fallback option as well, who's also an upgrade over Musty. The right tackle spot was addressed, another stud guard was brought in, Poles magically landed DJ Moore, a true #1 receiver. What's not to love? He even brought in a backup QB with a similar skill set in PJ Walker. Most of us fans were asking for that. Let's go, Ryan Poles. Put the NFC North on notice. It's time to take the North and never give it back.
And the last thing, the most important piece, is we're going to take the North and never give it back.
I will be live for the schedule release tonight in just a couple of hours. So far, a handful of games have been leaked. We will open the season at home versus the Packers. We will also end the season in Lambeau week 18. So we start the season against the Packers and end the season against the Packers. That week 1 game is going to be for 17-week bragging rights. Also, we play the Commanders on the road on Thursday Night Football in week 5. Then in week 6, we will have a primetime game versus the Vikings at home. And then in week 12, we travel to Minnesota for Monday Night Football. Both Bears versus Viking games will be in prime time. I like that. I think there's a chance we will be battling for the NFC North. Stay tuned, guys. I'll be live at 6:30 to chat with you guys for an hour or so about the new schedule. Please remember to hit that like button for me. And until next time, bear down.
Swifty in the house!